Thank you for tuning in to an episode of InRange. I'm coming to you today with one of the newest pistols on the market.
Yeah, boy, Springfield is really flogging this thing across the entire gun-o-sphere.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to what's the term now? Or do they call them, what is it? Content creators used to be the old term, but now we call them...
now we're influencers.
Influencers, yeah. So a number of influencers have received this package from Springfield Armory.
Springfield's like, Hellcat for you, and for you, and for you, and for you, and here's some more Hellcats.
So there's two ways to look at that, right? One is that it's a marketing technique just to get market saturation, get a lot of information out there. Or, on the positive side, maybe they really believe in the product and they think that a whole bunch of influencers will present to their audience something that's a good product, or at least have good reviews. I will say I saw in our comments that providing it to InRange was a vote of confidence from some people. They're like, whoa! They actually sent one to InRange because we're known for giving very honest reviews. Now, the kit that they sent to us was this demonstration box, and it had a safe, and it had a holster. That's cool. Actually, I'm going to talk about the safe in a different video because it's interesting. But here, we're just going to talk about the gun.
We'll see if the safe is actually safe.
Yeah, exactly. That's a different topic. It looks good, but looks can be deceiving. Here we're to talk about the gun. We're not here to talk about the company. We're not here to talk about whatever happened with all of that. We're here to talk about the technical merits or lack thereof of the Hellcat pistol.
Right. So I start from a basis of skepticism because when I look at this, I see a copy of the Sig P365.
We had that conversation, but to me, isn't everything a copy?
To some extent.
Okay.
Not always, not entirely, but yes, to some extent. The 365 was a bit of a revelation to me. I'd never really paid much attention until I put it and a couple other guns side by side with a Bowberg.
Okay.
And I grabbed a 365 there because it was something a friend had available and lent me, and it was in the right size. And man, when I picked that thing up, I was really taken aback by how nice of a gun it was. It didn't feel like a tiny compact 9. It felt like a small version of a real proper service pistol.
Feels like a small big gun.
Yeah, that's very much, instead of feeling like a tiny micro gun.
Like when you pick up a Keltec and you're like, phew. No, I mean,
yeah.
They give up a lot of ergonomics and functionality and capability for size.
Right.
And these subcompacts that are coming out, the 365, and I'm going to go ahead and say this one as well, just from feeling it, haven't even shot it yet. It does feel like you're holding a real gun.
The handling is pretty good. It's a little better. There are two different magazines with this thing. There's an 11 round, which is conveniently 1 round bigger than Sig. And then there's the extended 13 round, and this definitely gives you a better grip on the gun.
Oh, it does. And so you're talking about 11 plus 1 and 13 plus 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's substantial on a gun this size.
It is. It is.
So, my initial, I've never fired this still. This is our first day out of the range with it. The trigger to me is not as good as a Sig.
Yep.
However, it does have a trigger dingus, which the Sig does not.
Yep.
Some people will, I think, prefer that. The handling seems pretty much on par. Without having them both literally side by side, I'm hard pressed to say one's recognizably better than the other.
I will say this, there's a couple other things that are technically interesting that I started poking at with this, in that, first of all, they came out capable. There's two models. There's the standard and there's the OSP, which is optics ready. Right. This one they sent to us did come with the
RMS-c.
That's it, Shield, which I have no experience with the RMS Shield at all. I've heard good things. I've heard they're reliable. They are pretty much the smallest heads-up display type red dot optic you can get in the market, and that's why they mounted it to this very small gun.
Most specifically, they don't overhang.
Yeah.
So they're the same width as the slide on this thing, which is like 1 inch.
There's a tiny lip, but I mean, it's so minor it doesn't matter.
But compared to an RMR or a Delta Point, those will be substantially wider than the slide of the gun.
I would agree. Looking through it, though, it looks like a red dot. I mean, there's nothing weird there. And I would say that at this point in 2019, if you're coming out with a new pistol and it's not optics ready, or maybe something else creative,
you're wrong.
I think you are. I think you need to have at least the ability to accept an optic, even if someone doesn't want it.
So if we're going to go back and compare this to the 365 again, standard 365 does not have an optics compatibility. They do have kind of a different style of thing, which maybe is worth touching on in a separate video.
Yep.
Their SAS.
Yeah, that just came out. So when we compare the different models of the 365, let's talk about that right here. So the 365, I mean, that's the direct competitor. This is a direct competitor to those guns, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the Hellcat, the height is 4 inches tall, 1 inch wide, 6 inch overall length, 3 inch barrel, 17.9 ounces. Okay. The 365 XL, and I'm comparing it to the XL because that's the only one that has optics ready capability.
For now. I expect they'll be changing that fairly shortly.
The standard 365 does not.
For now.
So I'm comparing it to the one that does.
Right.
The 365 XL height is 4.8, so 0.8 higher. Still 1 inch in width, 6.6 inches in length, 0.6 inches longer. 3.7 inch barrel though, so you're getting a little more barrel.
Right.
And 20.7 ounces in weight, so a little heavier.
Right. The XL is deliberately a little longer in the grip and a little longer in the slide.
A little bit bigger. And now they just announced the SAS, which is their no snag gun. And it's a really interesting concept. It doesn't have a red dot, but it's got this interesting embedded optical sighting system. It's kind of like, it reminded me of a Seal, but it's a fiber optic unit that is actually cut in a way that it's in the slide. It's recessed to the point where it doesn't stick up at all.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it kind of acts red dot-ish, at least in the video. I haven't handled one, but when you move it around, it sort of lines up and works. That one, compared to this, which has this shield on it, height 4.1 inches, width 1 inch, barrel's 3.1, so now you're the same length, and there's a weight of 17.8 ounces, and that's with the sighting system. The 17.9 ounces on this is without the sight on it. So these guys, Springfield did this, and now the SAS comes out from the 365, which is not a red dot, but red dot-ish. Wow, this is an interesting competition to have to be coming into the market.
Yeah, so I think the real question is, does this work?
Yes.
This is Springfield Armory. Everyone's going to make jokes about the grip zone, but they've gotten past that. They no longer feel the need to designate a grip zone on the gun, which is nice.
It does have a sight zone, which is a red dot, and iron sights, and this does come default with night sights.
Night sights, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is a HS product gun, so it is Croatian in origin like the XD series, but doesn't appear to have several of the things that made the XD problematic, like the grip safety.
Agreed.
Now, this is an initial first impression sort of video. We cannot tell you anything in this video about long-term durability, serious reliability. Like, we've got a nice selection of ammo that we're going to put through this, like 10 different brands, but will this, once people start putting 500, 1,000 rounds through these guns, will they continue to work? Will they not? No idea. So we're not even going to try to answer that question today because we can't. That really is a question that requires a large sample size of guns. And it's one of the things that if you're going to be the initial adopter on a new gun, kind of you're just accepting that risk that it might not work long term, and you won't know it until a lot of people buy in and put a lot of rounds through them.
But I do plan on putting a lot of rounds through this, so we're going to find out over time.
Let's start right now.
Yeah, let's start right now. One thing I will say right off the bat before we start that, it does have a nicely textured grip. I know that sounds funny, but it's a good firm grasp. And one other little technical bit I found was kind of cool is that it has a standoff.
That's true.
So it has got a dual recoil spring captured unit in this, and there's a little standoff here, and the reason for this, it's unloaded, guys, so don't lose your minds. So in close quarters combatives, which you'd like see in an ECQC class or something, where you're pressing the gun into the opponent, or anything else for that matter, if you push hard enough, the slide will go out of battery and can't be fired. There's just a little bit, just enough on this recoil rod that when you touch it, you're not going to put the gun out of battery. So if you were to press this into something, you're not going to lose the ability to fire the gun. That's a minor thing, but
it's a good idea. But it's a good feature.
But in practical use, it actually has application.
Yeah.
So kudos to Springfield Armory for doing that. So let's go ahead and first, I think, let's try and see if the red dot's zeroed out of the box, and then we'll move on to this wide variety of ammo.
All right.
Well, that's pretty much perfectly zeroed out of the box.
Okay, first up, tool ammo. Not just any tool ammo, but I have some tool ammo that somehow got a little rust on the case head. So, give that a try. I got, I think, 10 rounds of it. Seem to run that okay.
All right, we're just going through the variety here. I have some spare old gold dots. So these are spare gold dots, hollow points. Obviously, sometimes hollow points have problems with feeding. Let's see what happens with this. I wanted to show you on camera I had what this was, and I'm going to load that last one up. It's not a full mag, it's what I had laying around. But let's see what happens. No problems. Those were a little spicier, as I'd expect, as they were plus P. What we got next, Ian?
All right, I have a box of Honored Defense 100 grain frangible 1300 FPS lead-free hollow points that Honor Defense sent me, and I had no idea what to do with, so I figure We'll see if they run in this.
Next up is 10 rounds of super high-end Perfecta. Perfecta's perfection, right? This is pretty much cheap 9mm, 115 grain. Here we go. So far, we're not having any issues with any of this stuff. Let's see what's up next.
All right, I'm out of ammo that's crappier, so let's try something that's heavier. I have, this time, PPU 124 grain NATO spec 9mm. That is also a little spicy, but it all ran just fine.
All right, now we're on the weird end of the spectrum. This is frangible interceptor ammo. I've never fired a round of this in my life, except maybe at SHOT Show. I don't even remember. Certainly haven't fired it out of this. Here we go. No problems with that either.
I'm starting to run out of interesting options. How about Blaser 115, or Blaser Brass 115 grain?
All right, still on the weirder end of things. This is PPU 158 grain.
Hey, that's subsonic, right?
Yeah, in theory.
I'm kind of out. I got PMZ Bronze 115 grain FMJ. Be really surprised if this causes any sort of issue. It didn't.
All right, we just
Ow.
shot.
Oh, is it hot?
Yeah, it's a little toasty.
We just shot a lot of ammo.
Yeah, it was like 100, something like 100 rounds, as quick as we could reload the mags.
That's not an example of the ultimate reliability of the pistol, but what we did do is fire a wide variety of weird stuff.
Yeah,
And nary a hitch, right?
nothing.
Yeah, even that frangible stuff worked.
I'm a little disappointed.
You were hoping for failure?
Well, not really, but it's more interesting when something happens that's not predicted.
It actually is for video views. When something fails, it gets more views than when it works. But, okay, interestingly, that was actually, you're going to see cuts in that because we have to for editing purposes, but that was fired as one long string. Ian went over to the table, loaded a mag while I was shooting, and then I went over and loaded a mag while he was shooting. We only have 2 mags, so we had to do it in a cycle like that. But we had absolutely no issues with all weird variety of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we got a dock. It's zeroed. Why don't we try to spin the spinner?
Ugh, how many reasons do you want?
All the reasons.
You're going to even gamer this, aren't you?
I am going to gamer this. I actually loaded up. I have the 13-round mag, and it's the 158 grain PPU. And everyone says bigger bullets for the spinner, right?
Yeah, I don't know that it's that significant in...
It isn't, but let's
In
go ahead
my
and give it a
knowing.
whirl. All right, so we're going to use the buddy system. I got 13 rounds, 158 grains. We're at 15 yards from the spinner with a teeny tiny handgun, but with a good red dot sight on it, at least for now. So if I can get it spinning, Ian's going to try to keep it spinning. If I fail at spinning, I'm going to hand the gun off and we're going to buddy system this. That extended mag is a much better grip.
Ah, you got it. Ah, keep it going, keep it going.
All right, buddy system. A little low.
Losing track of which way it's going. Up and...
There it goes. Last round, too.
Not bad.
No. Well, I mean, our
Dang.
first day out with this gun, I'm going to go ahead and say, and I think, copy or not, I think the MSRP on this and the 365 are roughly
I
equivalent.
think they're basically the same. Yeah.
They really are. So it's going to be up to you what you want to make your decision about if you're looking into this subcompact market. But at least with first impressions today, considering we had absolutely zero malfunctions, it comes with it can come with an optically sighted system, or it's at least ready for optics. It's got nice, good iron sights. Anyway, the iron sights are decent as they are.
Yep. And tritium.
Yep, tritium night sights. 13+1 capacity in a very small concealable package.
Yeah.
I can say only this seems to be a very compelling product.
I really have nothing that I can hold against it except for the dumb name.
I don't think the name's that bad.
I do.
Marketing's marketing.
Yeah.
But at this point, again, we're going to have to do a lot more with this. We're going to have to do like matches and content and time content and shoot lots of rounds over time to see what the durability is.
And frankly, a lot of that is stuff that one person with one example of the gun can't do. A lot of this will be crowdsourced. You know, once they sell a couple thousand guns, and we start to see long term what happens with them, then we'll know more.
I agree.
But it's certainly a good start.
It is.
So I couldn't really ask for a better start, frankly. The cynical side of me is trying to come up with, like, what's the hitch? I ain't got one.
That is going to be a very concealable piece, and there's already holsters on the market for it. I'm sure there'll be more. I already saw, I think there's a laser unit you can get for it that's made for the Hellcat. So they're coming out of...
It does have a little bit of rail, that little proprietary, well, not proprietary, that kind of rail-y thing.
But it's super tiny area.
Yeah.
Springfield comes out of the gate with the Hellcat with, I'm going to say, roaring. I'm pretty interested. I think it's a compelling product, and until we find out more, at this point, I'm going to have to give it a thumbs up.
Potentially the most promising thing from Springfield Armory since 1945.
That's fine. But hey, you know what? That's cool. And I think at this point, while they sent out a lot of these out there to like influencers, we had nothing but success with it. So we'll have to check out all the other people and see how that goes. But at this point, I'm going to say, good job so far, Springfield. The Hellcat seems to be kind of a cool product.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning into this. All the ammunition you saw spent today was provided by our kind Patreon supporters that keep InRange alive. I do have to say, and I said this earlier, that Springfield Armory provided the Hellcat to us for free. In fact, they solicited us with an email. We got an email out of the blue a couple months ago saying, we were going to send you a gun, you don't know what it is, do you want it? And I'm like, well, yeah, okay. Why would I say no to that? And then we were having fun about what kind of weird thing is going to come. Is it going to be a Shockwave 28 gauge or something? And no, it turned out to be this. And then the video came out from them promoting it. And I was like, huh. And now we're shooting it. And I'm like, why not? So all the ammunition came from the supporters. If you're not a supporter, please consider it. It is only a crowd-funded project. It is only Patreon that keeps InRange alive. If you can't, we understand. Just subscribe and share with your friends. And thanks for watching.
Brought to you by Optics and Trigger Dingus.